was just going to come run and sit on my lap, and he got up. He got to where I couldn't even focus on him anymore because he was so close. It's like he didn't even notice me there. But somebody got too close, and the bull got up and charged everyone. It was a bluff charge, like he stopped. I laughed because everybody scattered, and it just reminded me of when you kick over an ant hill, they just running everywhere.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Photographer Profile. My name is Nathan Rupert, and I started this channel to give photographers a worldwide platform to share their work and stories. My guest today is Joey. Hey, Joey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Good. Yeah, just please give the viewers an introduction about yourself and your photography for those watching.
Well, my name's Joey, obviously. I'm from South Louisiana. I started doing photography back in about 2000. That's when I got my first real camera. Before then, I was doing ultra running, and I'd always carry a small point and shoot camera with me. I'd take pictures of all the different things that I'd see. Then in 2020, I went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming with that little point and shoot camera and came back with the pictures and decided, hey, it's time that I upgrade to a real camera here. Since then, I've been doing wildlife photography, mixed with some landscape photography also.
Do you still do running by
I'm
any
trying to get back
chance?
into it. The COVID year kind of killed me a little bit on it. I didn't have COVID or anything, but I was training for, I think, 100-mile race and
Oh, my
then
goodness.
a couple different races, and they all got canceled. That kind of made me not as quite as motivated to run, and been trying to get back into it, but my schedule's just been crazy. Every time I start to get into a routine, something comes up and pulls me out of that routine. It'll get back there. I've I'd rather lift weights than run. So at the gym every day, I make sure to get that. So at least I'm getting some exercise in.
As a runner myself in high school, I actually got 12th in the state of Indiana in the mile. I ran a 4:28, but yeah, I didn't go too much after high school. Just kind of run on my own. But 100 miles is crazy. Oh my
Yeah, I've never
goodness.
been fat. I've never been a fast runner, and I hate running on roads. I mean, if you put me on a road, it's within 30 minutes I'm done. But put me on a trail, and I could just run or hike all day long. Just the
Wow.
change in scenery and just being out in nature. Um, I just seem to forget about everything else when I'm out there.
Awesome. Well, let's look at your picture showcase here. Let's get started. I know we have a lot of pictures to go through. Let me share my screen. Please just tell us about this picture, where you took it, your thoughts on it.
It's a small alligator, and it was in Fontainebleau State Park, which is in Mandeville, Louisiana. I go to that park frequently, and that's one of what I call my resident alligators. I could go almost any day, and he's going to be there. I kind of quit taking pictures of him because I see him so much, but the light that day and the way the light was just hitting him was just so pretty. And I mean, I just got down and started taking pictures of him and really, really like this one. The light just hits his eye really well and just lights him up perfectly, in my opinion.
What kind of lens do you shoot with this one?
This one was with the Nikkor 200 to 500 millimeter lens.
Okay.
Uh, I think I was still shooting with the D500 at that time when this one was taken. And since then, I've upgraded to the Z8 and the 180 to 600 millimeter lens. But this if it, I'm not sure if it was the D500, the Z8, but definitely the 2 to 500.
Were you out in a boat, or was he that close to the shore that you could?
He was in a pond, and what's great about that pond is I could get really low without having to get in the water with him. When you're in a boat, it's kind of hard to get low.
Love that reflection. It's a perfect reflection. That's cool how you mentioned how you keep seeing the same animal over and over again. A lot of amateur wildlife photographers don't realize that animals are very habitual. They do the same thing, they're the same places, the same motions. That's cool that you kind of called that out
Yeah, and I have
when you
another
shot the.
of an alligator from Black Bayou Lake in Monroe, Louisiana, which is in North Louisiana. I was up there back in March, and I took a picture of him on a log, just legs hanging off the log, real lazy. Then two pictures on two different days in September, then another one in this month. I think I took it last week. The same alligator, the same spot, lay in the same exact way.
That's
And,
awesome. Let me stop sharing. Let's look at another one while we're here. Let me get it ready. Okay. Can you see that? Not an animal.
no, this is one of my favorite landscape shots I took. This was in Grand Teton National Park, and it was taken at Schwabaker's Landing. I'm not sure if I said that right, but that's how it's spelled. The day this was taken, it was pretty chilly that morning. It's a spot where you get there and there's 8 million photographers trying to take a picture because you get the reflection on the water.
Yeah.
And where they were, I couldn't get a spot. So I just went walk a little further down, probably about a quarter mile, and found this spot where nobody else was there. And I just set up shop there and waited for sunrise. Because the great thing about the sunrise there is when it hits the mountains, it turns them that pink color. You only have a few minutes of that before they turn to, I guess, the normal color.
Yeah.
Waited, got the shots, and forgot my gloves in the car. And it was, like I mentioned, it was cold that morning. I was holding that metal camera. When I got back to my car, it just felt like somebody had taken a hammer and just beaten my hands. So I had to sit there for a little while just to let my hands thaw out. But one of those shots I think was worth it. One of my favorite things about this one is if you look at the mountain peaks, you
Hmm.
have a tree, then the mountain peak, then a tree, then the mountain peak. I didn't do that on purpose. It
Oh,
just,
you did do that. You did do that on purpose.
I didn't even notice it at the time. I kind of lined up like that. I wish that peak all the way on the left, if I would have noticed that, I'd tried to position it to where that one was sticking out just a little bit. All the peaks would have been like peak tree, peak tree. But it still came out. I really like how this one came out.
It's very, very peaceful. Um, I can see having someone framing this and put it in like a hospital just to give people that peace of mind or something like that.
Yeah, have you ever been out to Grand Teton National Park?
I have not. No, I have not.
Um, it's amazing out there. There's not a single bad view, no matter where you look. I've been there 10 times since 2000. I mean, it's just, like you said, peaceful out there.
I have so many bucket list items from doing this podcast. Seeing everybody's photos and all the places that they go to. Now I have a never-ending bucket list from doing this podcast.
The hard part's deciding where to go.
Yeah. Before we look at the next couple photos, are you a full-time professional photographer? Like this is your main income, your career?
No, I'd love it to be, but unfortunately, right now it's not there. So I do have a real job. I say a real
Okay.
job. I mean, photography. That's a. I don't want to say it's not a lot of work because it is. There's times where I feel like I'm working two or three jobs at a time because I'm going to work, I'm shooting, editing photos, and every now and then I'll do family photos or different types of events.
Yeah.
So then it's throwing that on top of everything else. There's some weeks where I get home from work and then I'm up till 10, 11 o'clock at night just editing photos to try and get them done.
Wow.
But I mean, I love it. I'm not going to fuss about it.
Do you sell your photos at like farmers markets or art shows or anything
I haven't
like
done any
that?
boat shows or farmers markets yet, but there's one locally that next year. I think they quit doing it in the wintertime. In the spring, I'm going to try and do some there. I've sold some photos online though, um,
Okay.
through my website, or just people will reach out. They'll see something on Instagram or Facebook, and they'll say, "Hey, is this photo for sale?"
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody wants to buy one, I'll sell it to them. Even if it's not listed for sale on my website.
That's cool that you get that as a side gig at least, make a little bit of money here and there.
Pay for equipment.
Let's get your next photo ready here. Sure. Okay. Can you see that?
Yep, that's Grizzly 610. And the only reason I
610?
know, yeah, the only reason I know her name is because it was that was taken this past September in Grand Teton National Park. We
Yeah.
were actually, me and two friends were looking for otters by the Snake River Dam, and she popped out, and we got some pictures. And on my camera, I was the only one that had a picture of her kind of looking towards us. They had a bear, what we call a bear jam. Just when she crossed the road, people started stopping. Photographers were trying to take pictures, and the rangers came and they wanted to see. They were curious as to what bear it was. Since I
Yeah.
was the only one that had a face shot of her that day or that morning, they looked at the back of my camera, and she has a score above her left eye, I think. You can't
Okay.
see the picture, but that's how they identified her. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have any idea what her name was.
She's definitely pretty hefty. She's
Yeah,
eating good for
fat,
sure.
fattening up for winter time. And I don't know if you heard recently. Have you? Did you hear of Grizzly 399?
No, what happened?
She was probably the most famous wild grizzly in the world. Um,
Okay.
she she's had several litters of cubs in Grand Teton National Park, and most of the bears there are probably related to her somehow.
Uh-huh.
She was 26 years old, I think, and still she had a cub last year, I think. She was hit by a car a few weeks
Oh,
ago,
wow.
just outside the park. It's been a pretty big deal with the people that have been following her. When I was out there, I think last year I ran into someone from Japan that flew into the park just to see that one bear. That's kind of impact she had. This is one of her daughters right here.
Well, at least 399 passed on a great legacy all these years.
And I mean, she had a great life in the park. Unfortunately, I don't want to say she was harassed by people because she wasn't harassed, but anytime she was out, people were around her. One of the unique things about her is she raised her cubs near the road because she knew if there were people around, the cubs were going to be safe because the males or the boars wouldn't go and kill the cubs to send her back into heat because the males avoid people. So she figured that out and raised all of her cubs kind of around people.
Wow, that's super smart. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's intelligence right there. Before we look at your next photo, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What excites you to go out there, shoot day after day, weekend after weekend? Like you said, all this editing, what excites you to keep doing this over and over
Just
again?
to see what I'm going to see out there because every day is different. You never know what's going to pop up. We were going to shoot otters that day, and then the bear pops up. It's just different every day. You never know what to expect. I just love being out in nature, whether it's with my camera, just hiking or running trails. Just being out there keeps me going.
Yeah, just that thrill of the unknown.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You could go to the same spot every day, and you're not going to have the same shot every day. It's going to be different light, different conditions, different weather. You just never know what to expect.
That is a good point. Yeah, that's very true. Okay, let me get your next photo ready here. Okay, see that?
This is a cypress tree on the Tchefuncte River in South Louisiana. This one was actually taken from a boat. I was out with a friend of mine. He has a company called Louisiana Tours and Adventures. What he does is he takes people on the river, and a lot of times in the summer, people just want to go swim somewhere on the river, so he'll take them there. Other times of year, people want to go do wildlife. He knows that river back and front. He called me one day, and the egrets were coming in to roost in a tree on the river. We're out there heading out that way. I was in front of the boat just as we were moving, just taking pictures because the area we were on the river, the sun just at sunset just lights up those trees. Then this one, just the Spanish moss hanging down, was just lit up that gold, orangish gold color. Just really
Yeah.
love the colors of this photo right here.
It looks like a painting. It looks like someone painted it.
Right, and it's just that bend on the river for some reason the sun hits everything so perfect there.
Very beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Next question for you. What would you say is the best piece of photography advice you've received from any mentors over your career? You know, when you're first getting started, what kind of advice would you give to other people?
It was in a video, and someone had said outside of your camera itself, your biggest tool is your 2 feet. Because if you don't have the shot, you could always move and get the right angle. And since then, like I don't use a tripod, or I use a tripod very, very rarely. Everything's handheld because I like to move around. I'll take several pictures of the same thing, but I'll get up and walk around, get a
Yeah.
picture from low, from high, far away, close up, and then just see what I come home with. That advice, your 2 feet are your biggest tool outside of your camera and lens.
That is good advice. I think in the previous video to this one, the photographer is talking about how he did a model shoot of this girl in a Tinkerbell outfit, and he got on the ground to shoot it like she's flying, just a different perspective. That is good advice to do different angles and stuff like that. Okay, let me get your next photo ready. Look at this guy.
Red fox, just outside of Yellowstone National Park. It was between Silvergate City and Lamar Valley. I'd actually been sitting in the spot where he was for about 45 minutes to an hour, trying to take pictures of some waterfalls coming off the mountain after the rain. Because on the
Yeah.
side of the mountain, I think I counted 7 waterfalls. I was trying to figure out how to shoot them, but I couldn't get a good angle on any of them from where I was. Then I was leaving and I saw a bison, which somehow I didn't even notice was there the whole time. He was sitting on a little hill, and then the mountain peaks were behind him. I'd been taking pictures of bison all day. It was about 3 miles down the road, and I was like, I'm turning around and going back. Got back, and the bison was still there, but the shot wasn't what I thought. He was too close to the tree line, couldn't get the peaks in the background. But when I
Mhm.
turned around, the fox was just sitting right there, right on the other side of the road. That was one of the things that I wanted to photograph when I was up there because I'd never photographed foxes before. Turned around, he's just sitting on the other side of the road watching me. I got down, took some pictures of him. He's on side of the road in this shot, and he runs across the road to my side, just runs straight at me. I thought he was just going to come run and sit on my lap, and he got up. I couldn't even, he got to where I couldn't even focus on him anymore because he was so close. Then he just went right around me and kept on going. It's like he didn't even notice me there. And this shot was taken almost at dark. And if you look at the unedited photo, it's really, really underexposed. But
Mhm.
just the technology nowadays in Lightroom, you're able to bring everything out and get something like this.
What focal length was this shot?
This was
Uh,
probably between 400 and 600 somewhere. Probably closer to the 600 side, but I don't remember right offhand.
I love all the different colors of its coat, of its belly, the grays, the white. It's super cool colors on this
And
fox.
and he couldn't have given me a better pose right there too. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Like I just turned around and he was just sitting there. One of the great things about wildlife photography is you never know what's going to pop up.
So I'd say skill is when luck meets preparation, right? Before we look at your next photo, I have a thought-provoking question for you. What do you want to happen to all these photos you've taken when you die, when you're no longer here? Have you ever put any thought to that?
Never thought of that, but I guess if anything, I hope that I mean they're on social media, they're on the internet, so they're never going to go anywhere. They'll be there forever. I'd hope that people would see them and then inspires them to get outside and explore the areas that they live, whether it's in the city, because you could get really good urban wildlife, or just getting out to new places and exploring the world really, instead of just
Yeah.
sitting at home playing video games and never getting outside. I really hope that it inspires people to get out.
Love that answer. Totally agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, well, let's
the,
oh, go ahead.
we live in such a pretty world. It's a waste to sit inside all day not exploring it. Even if it's just going 5 miles from your house and exploring a trail or something out there.
Let's take a look at your next photo here. I'm getting ready. This guy reminds me of a cartoon character.
He does. This was taken in Orange Beach, Alabama. I was actually there for a safety conference for work. And after the conference, I went just sit on the beach. I knew the little ghost crabs would be out. The hard part's finding them and then getting them to sit still long enough to take a picture because they run out their holes. As soon as you move, they running back in. So I just picked a spot where I saw one and just he went back in his hole, and then I just waited till it came back out. I got several shots of him, but what I really like about this one is the little piece of grass he's holding. It just looks like he's holding a little ribbon or something. I don't know if he was, I don't know if he was eating that or bringing it back into its little burrow or what he was going to do with it. But it just adds something that wasn't in any of the other pictures of him.
Almost looks like a heart at the top
Yeah,
there.
I never noticed. Now that you say it, I see it, and I won't be able to unsee it now. Every time I look at it, I think of that.
His eyes are just so popping out and colorful, and they just stick out so good
Yeah,
in
and
this photo.
I could be wrong, but I think they could see 180 degrees around them. They could see 180 degrees, but it's either they might not be able to look up. It's something weird with their eyes like that. They could do a lot of stuff, but then there's like one thing they can't do with them.
Was this shot with the super telephoto lens
Yeah, this was with the
as
180
well?
to 600,
Okay,
and I think
awesome.
that's actually a cropped in shot too, because he was pretty far away. And so when I got the picture, I cropped in Lightroom on this one.
Next question. What do you see as the future of photography in 20, 30 years? How do you things will change? What will the photography be like in the future?
That's a tough question. Cameras keep getting better and better. The editing platforms or programs keep getting better and better. And then you have the whole AI thing. I'm not quite sure. Hopefully, some of these bigger telephoto lenses, they could shrink them down a little bit and lighten them up some more because they get pretty heavy carrying them around a lot, especially when you're trying to hold them not using a tripod.
Yeah, that'd be nice to have a 600 f 2.0, like 3 pounds or something. I don't know
Yeah,
how low they could get that
yeah, and one that
to
you could
be.
afford too, because that's the other thing
Yeah,
is
yeah.
keeping them affordable. 'Cause I really want the Nikkor 600 millimeter with the built-in teleconverter. I think it's an f4, but
Wow.
it's a $15,000 lens, and just not my budget right now.
You could sell a lot of pictures to afford for
Yeah,
that one.
or a lot of family photo sessions.
There you go. Let's take a look at another picture. 1 second. Another beautiful location.
This was taken between Boulder, Colorado, and Longmont, Colorado. I lived in Boulder, Colorado for a year, and I was going out to shoot somewhere and passed this barn up in the morning, and thought to myself, I was like, I need to come back and get a picture of it at the end of the day because when I passed by, the light just wasn't right. I got there and had good light. I mean, I love the colors in this picture, but the hard part with this shot was there was a lot of junk in the area. Like the land wasn't that clean. They had, I think, a few old cars, some old tractors, just that cluttered
Yeah.
everything up. I really had to kind of get creative with this shot to fit it in without getting all the background junk in it. And the one thing I really don't like about this shot is I didn't get the top of the silo. It kind of cropped it out right there. But that's because that was the only angle I could do without getting all that stuff in the background. At the time when I took this shot, I think this was 2022. If it was in the picture, it was in the picture. If I could crop it out, I would, but I wasn't going to use the cloning tool or anything to remove it just because I was putting some pictures in contests and you can't remove anything in a contest except through cropping. So
Really? That's a rule they had? Wow,
yeah,
that's pretty harsh.
so I made sure to try and get this shot without any of the stuff just in case I wanted to enter it in something that I didn't have to worry about that. If I could go back and retake this picture today, I'd, I'd take it with a wider angle and get the top of that silo and then just clone the stuff out and then I'd
Yeah.
probably put this one for sale instead of putting it in a contest. That's just one of the ways that my mindset's changed over the last couple years in photography. Now, if I know I'm not going to put a picture in a contest, I don't have a problem cloning something out.
Yeah. I mean that rule seems really harsh. I've never heard of it. A rule that harsh
It,
for a contest.
for wildlife, that's what it's like. North American Nature Photography Association, um, they have a contest every year. You could put landscapes in it, but one of the rules is if it's you can't clone or delete anything except like lens dust or sensor dust. You could get
Okay.
that out of it, but if there's just a distraction in there, you have to live with it unless you could crop it out. If you could crop
Hmm.
it out, they'll accept that.
Interesting. Another question. What aspect of photography do you feel like you need the most improvement in or that you want to learn?
Shooting people, I think. Like I like going take pictures of people. I hate posing people though. Uh, it's just something that I think I need to work on. Now, if I could go out and just take candid shots of people, I love doing that because I think
Yeah.
when if you're taking a candid shot, that's when people are natural. When they see a camera pointing at them, they kind of change a little bit. Shooting people and posing them would be something that I'd like to improve on.
I've done some videos with some portrait photographers, so maybe check those out, and they might give some posing tips. Or you look at the poses that they have of the people
Yeah,
that they shot, and that might be a cool resource if you get bored.
yeah. I think what I'm going to do. I'm actually doing a family session this weekend for my brother. Yeah, I'm going to do a couple poses with them, and then just tell them go do y'all thing and just take candid shots.
Yeah. Okay. Let me share the next one. Next photo. See that?
This was taken in Rocky Mountain National Park when I lived out in Boulder. It was my first time going into Rocky Mountain National Park, and may have been the first elk I've ever seen too. I don't remember that. I was coming down Trail Ridge Road in Rocky Mountain National Park, or I guess going up Trail Ridge Road. He was maybe a mile before the store, and I saw him on the side of the road. He was just laying in the grass, just being lazy, not doing anything. Pulled over, and I just went sit. I sat about 30 yards away from him. And I was like, I'm going to wait till he stands up. I knew I wanted that background in the picture, the mountains. I sat and waited for probably 30, 40 minutes or so.
Wow.
And then
That's a long wait.
finally he stood up and he posed right there. Then he starts walking towards me. I'm like, man, what do I do? Do I stand up or just sit here and hope he just keeps going? Because if I stand up and spook him, he may think I'm a threat and go and try and defend himself or something. I decided I'm just going to sit here and wait. Now I looked and he's got his head almost in my Jeep, just looking around in there.
Oh my god.
I was like, man, if I'd have been in the Jeep, I could have got some great shots from here too. Yeah, I mean, this shot with the mountains in the back, it's probably my favorite elk shot that I have.
Good
And this
thing
one,
he didn't think your Jeep was a threat. He could have
right,
took it out your Jeep.
when I had my D850, and this was taken with, it was a kit lens. It was the 24 to 120 millimeter lens, I think,
Okay.
because I had my D500 with the 200 to 500 millimeter lens, but he was too close to use that lens, so I had to use the smaller lens that day.
It still came out great. Even the kit lens.
Yeah, and fortunately, that shot I have it on my website, but I no longer have the raw photo.
Mm-hmm.
I lost back in May of this year. My external hard drive crashed, and I
Oh no.
lost everything, every raw file from 2021 till May of this year. And
Oh gosh.
I still have the external drive. I'm hoping I could come across somebody that could try and recover some stuff one day, but it's all lost. So, because I thought I'd try to go back and re-edit that photo a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, but I just don't have the raw file anymore.
Yeah, there's a
So,
lot of companies that where you can mail it in and
yeah,
they'll try to recover it.
advice to those out there: back everything up and back it up again.
Good advice. Okay. You sent me a shot that you considered a missed shot. Let's take a look at that. Let me set it up real fast. Just let us know why you feel like this is a missed shot.
That's Grizzly 610 again. This was taken a few minutes after I took the shot we saw earlier of her. She had swam across the Snake River. I have some shots of her in the river in the fog, which are really cool. When she came out the water, I knew she was going to shake off, and I wanted that shot of her shaking.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, you don't know where she's going to shake off. So she went right behind that little tree right there and started shaking off. And the camera, she's out of focus. The the tree's somewhat in focus, but then it got all the water drops instead. I'm not really sure what happened with the focus. I'm not sure because my shutter speed was plenty high enough. But I think just she was backlit that day. She was wet, so her fur was kind of matted down. And then there was a little bit of fog in the area. So that probably contributed to it. If I could retake this shot, I'd probably try to manually focus. Except the problem with manually focusing in a situation like this is, like I said, you don't know where she's going to shake off. You've got to be really fast and good at that manual focus
Yeah.
to catch that. So I don't even know if I would have been able to in manual focus. But either way, that tree just she picked the wrong spot to shake off.
And then you sent me another photo for critique. Let me
Right.
find that. Go ahead and explain the situation first.
This was in Grand Teton National Park. He turns around, goes and poses in the creek. I missed the shot because I decided to go where everyone else was. He disappears in the willows, and you could kind of see where he was moving, and he was coming towards us. And next thing you know, he pops out, and he's walking up the trail that I was on. I didn't have anywhere to go except slowly back up because there's kind of a little cliff on my left side, and then just a rock wall on my right.
That's
So
scary.
I'm slowly backing up, thinking, what do I do if he gets mad? Because I mean, I really had nowhere to go. Then he just stopped and looked and turned around and went back down. And he walked up the ridge and just turned and gave me that look right there. From where I was, that was the only vantage point where you could get that shot. I have so many moose stories. It's yeah, every time I'm out there, it's like a different moose story. It's like they come to me for some reason. But so that's a
The
story on
moose
this.
whisperer. The moose whisperer. Did you do any cropping at all on this photo, or any?
Probably a little
Was
bit,
this
not much
a little
though.
bit? Yeah, I'd love it. I don't see really anything wrong. I wonder what it would be like if you did crop a little closer on his face. But then I do love that tree there too. You know, it sets the scene. It's a tough one. I think it's pretty perfect the way it is, to
But
be
thank you. And
honest.
there's people that'll tell me the tree shouldn't be there because they'll argue that it's a distraction. I didn't want to crop the tree out because I think it just adds. It tells you it's fall. Um, it just adds a little something extra to the scene to me.
Yeah, it helps with the rule of thirds too, right? The moose is in the left hand side, and then the tree's in the right hand
Yeah.
side. It does follow the rule of thirds with keeping the tree in the shot.
Maybe the only thing I might do different if I was going to re-edit this one would be maybe push him a little bit to push the scene a little bit to the left just to give the moose a little bit more space the way he's looking.
Hmm.
But I mean, it wouldn't be that much if I was going to redo it at all.
No, that's great. That was a great shot. I know you mentioned you have a lot of stories. Any other wild or crazy animal stories or things that have happened to you while out shooting that you can think of?
The first moose I ever saw, it was a bull moose, a cow, and a calf. I was watching them. There were a bunch of people there. The cow and the calf were they were in the woods and they were just eating. The bull was just laying in the dirt in the back. But somebody got too close and the bull got up and charged everyone. It was a bluff charge, like he stopped. But I mean, I laughed because everybody scattered, and it just reminded me of like when you kick over an ant hill, they just running everywhere. That's what I thought of with everybody scattering like that. I was just like amazed that an animal that big could run through the woods and just not get his antlers tangled in everything that was out there. And it was just so effortlessly that he just got up and ran like that.
Wow.
Like I said,
You've had some close calls here. You're pretty lucky to be alive. I feel like some close
kind of
calls with
what,
these
well,
animals. Well, I think that's all the photos, right, that you sent me.
I think so.
How do you prefer people contact you? Your website, Instagram? What is your preferred method of contact?
Whatever is easiest for them. If they want to shoot me a message through Facebook or Instagram, I'm fine with that. If they want to go to my website and email me, they could do that. Just if somebody does message me and I don't respond within a day or two, send me another message because if I don't check my Instagram spam folder, uh, I may miss it. I do get a lot of junk in there, and sometimes I just go and just hit delete off because it's all junk. And it is possible that I will miss something. I do try to respond to everybody that does message me, as long as it doesn't seem like it's a scam type thing. And I'm sure you get tons of those on social media all the time.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad you did delete my spam my message. My message didn't get deleted in spam. So I'm happy. I'm happy
but
about that.
yours didn't go to the spam folder for some reason.
Okay, that's
I
good.
don't know. I don't know how Instagram decides what goes to spam and what doesn't. I don't know what the algorithm is for that, but yours didn't go to it. So
That's good.
you're doing something right.
But
Uh,
any final thoughts before we wrap things up here? Thank you so much
Thank you for
for your
having
time.
me. I love doing stuff like this, and really glad you reached out to me. If there's anything I can do for you in the future, let me know.
I think that wraps it up. Thank you so much for sharing your photos, and I'll see you on Instagram. Thanks so much.
And thank you, and really had a good time doing this.
All right. Take it easy. Bye.
You too.